And the children of Chittim, or Kittim, fought against Edom. Abinus, or Abinus, the king of Chittim, went forth in that year, that is the 31st year of his reign, and a great force with him, and mighty men of the children of Chittim, and he went to Seir to fight against the children of Esau. And Hadad, how about Hadad? Hadad was a king of Assyria, was the king of Syria during the reign of King Shlomo. Because when Dawid died, we'll show you that. I'm gonna show you that in a minute. Okay, now Abinus, king of Chittim, went forth that year. Okay, now verse 3, Book of Jasher, chapter 90, verse 3. And Hadad, the king of Edom, heard of his report, and he went forth to meet him with the heavy people and strong force, and engaged in battle with him in the field of Edom. So Hadad heard his report and went forth to meet him with the heavy people and a strong force. So Hadad went with his army and engaged in battle with him in the field of Edom. And the hand of Chittim, or Kittim, which is the ancient fathers of Spanish, Greeks and Spanish people came from Chittim, or Kittim, said prevailed over the children of Esau, because Kittim is one of the sons of Yavan. So you got Yavan, Tubal, Meshach, Gomer, Magog, Madai. Okay, all those, that's the seed of Yafet, right? Now, Kittim prevailed over the children of Esau, and the Kittim slew the children of Esau, right? 22,000 men. 2 and 20. So the children of the Esau slew 22,000 men of the house of Esau, and the children of Esau fled from before them. So when they slew the men, the kids flew, they ran, right? Now what happened? Verse 5, Book of Jasher, chapter 90, verse 5. And the children of Chittim, or Kittim, pursued them, and they reached Hadad, king of Edom, who was running before them, that they caught him alive and brought him into Abinus, the king of Chittim. And Abinus ordered him to be slain, right? And Hadad, king of Edom, died in the 48th year of his reign. Verse 7. We're in the book of Jasher, chapter 90, verse 7. And the children of Chittim continued in pursuit of Edom, and they smote them with a great slaughter. So not only did they go after, not only did they kill the males, they went after the children, and they slew them with a great slaughter, and Edom became subject to the children of Chittim. So in other words, they became what? Their slaves, their servants. And the children of Chittim ruled over Edom, and Edom became under the hand of the children of Chittim, and became one kingdom from that day. See that? So the children of Chittim became one kingdom. Edom became under the hand of the children of Chittim, and became one kingdom from that day. You see that? And from that time they could no more lift their heads, and their kingdom became one with the children of Chittim. Right? Albinus placed officers in Edom, and all the children of Esau, or Edom rather, became subject and tributary to Albinus, and Albinus turned back to his own land, Chittim. So they became one kingdom. Now we understand, because in Genesis chapter 10, verse 4, it tells us that the sons of Yavan are Elisha, Tarshish, and Kittim, which is Chittim, the same person, right? Now, just a different spelling. Now, I mentioned something. We talked about Hadad, who was, let's go to the 11th chapter of the book of 1 Kings, chapter 11. All right? 1 Kings, chapter 11. All right? 1 Kings, chapter 11, verse 25. 1 Kings, chapter 11, verse 25. It says, let's start at verse... let's start at verse... let's start at verse... Okay, let's start at verse... I keep saying that. Every time I'm going to say that, right? Let's start at verse 1. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. We'll kind of read expeditiously. But King Shlomo loved many strange women, together with the daughters of Pharaoh, women of Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zionians, Hittites, of nations concerning which Yah said, the children of Israel, you shall not go unto them, neither shall they come unto you, for surely they will turn away your hearts after their deities, their mighty ones. And Shlomo clave to these in love. He had 700 wives, princes, and 300 concubines. His wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Shlomo was old that his wives turned away his heart after their deities, and the heart was not perfect with Yahweh his Elohim, as was the heart of David his father. Verse 5. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 5. For Shlomo went after Ashereth, the deity of the Zidonians, and Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Shlomo did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and went not fully after Yahweh, as did David his father. Then Shlomo built an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, the hill that is before Jerusalem, and Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all strange wives which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their deities. Verse 9. And Yahweh was angry with Shlomo because his heart was turned from Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. Verse 10. And commanded him concerning this thing that he should not go after the deities, but he kept not that which Yahweh commanded. Verse 11. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 11. Wherefore Yahweh said to Shlomo, forasmuch as this is done of thee, thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee and will give it to thy servant. Now, notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David's father's sake. Now, I have a teaching on the servant, which I believe that servant was an Edomite. That's another lesson, okay? Let's continue. Even if it was not, let's just continue to read, okay? Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but I will give one tribe to thy son David for my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. Verse 14. And Yahweh stirred up an adversary unto Shlomo, watch this now, Hadad, the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. For it came to pass when David was in Edom, Jobab, the captain of the host, was going up to bury the slain after he had smitten every male in Edom. Now, who did that? David slayed all the males in Edom in that day. For 6 months did Jobab remain there with all Israel until he had cut off every male in Edom. Now, that goes in conjunction with another scripture that says that I will make a place of graves in Israel. That prophecy, and I did a lesson before on that, as far to actually speak as if that literal Edomite seed was going to be destroyed in Israel and for a future day. But the spiritual seed that still lives is going to be destroyed. But that physical seed of Edomite was actually destroyed in that day when he said that he said it was 6 months Jobab remained there with all Israel until they had cut off every male in Edom. Verse 17, 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 17. And Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father. Okay, now, let's read verse 15 one more time. I'm going kind of fast. I'm going to slow down a little bit. For it came to pass when David was in Edom and Jobab, that the captain of the host was going up to bury the slain after he had smitten every male in Edom. Now, once again, I said that goes in conjunction with the book of Ezekiel, which I taught in another lesson earlier on because I wasn't as knowledgeable of Esau as I am now. So therefore, I spoke that the literal seed of Esau. And let me go back. I'm gonna go back and revisit that teaching because I think I said the spiritual seed of Esau. Okay. But the literal seed that happened already. We see here. It says. Verse 39, Ezekiel chapter 39, okay? And it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto Gog a place of graves in Israel, right? The valley and the pastures on the east of the sea, and it shall stop the nose of the pastures, and there shall they bury Gog and all his multitude. They shall call it the valley of Ham and Gog, right? Now, that prophecy is twofold. He said, in 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them that may cleanse the land. Yea, and all the people of the land shall bury them, and it shall be to them a renown the day that I shall be esteemed, says Yahweh Elohim. And they shall serve out men of continual employment passing through the land, to bury with pastors those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it after the end of the 7 months shall they search. And the passengers that pass through the land, when they see a man's bone, they shall set up a sign by it till the buriers have buried it in the valley of Ham and Gog. And also that the name of the city shall be Hamona, thus shalt they cleanse the land. And thou, son of man, thou sayest to Yahweh Elohim, speak unto every feathered fowl, every beast of the field, assemble yourselves and come and gather yourselves aside to sacrifice that I do sacrifice for you, even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that you may eat flesh and drink the blood. So now, I do believe that some prophecies are twofold. But when with regards to this happened literally, and it's going to happen. A spiritual Edomite seed, those that are rejectors of the covenant of Yah, are going to fulfill this prophecy, right? Because the actual physical Edomite seed, we see, if we go back to 1 Kings chapter 11, where we just read, King Dawid slayed all the males. And it said there, it says verse 5 it was, I think it was verse 5. Was it verse 5? Verse 15 it was. Verse 15. For it came to pass when Dawid was in Edom, and Jobab, the captain of the host, was going up to bury the slain after he had smitten every male in Edom. For 6 months did Jobab remain there with all Israel until he had cut off every male in Edom, right? Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with them, to go into Egypt. Hadad being a little child, and they rose out of Midian and came to Paran, right? Now, and they took men with them out of Paran, and they came into Egypt, and unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, which gave him a house, and appointed him victuals, and gave him land. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him a wife, the sister of his own wife, the sister of Taphanes the queen. And the sister of Taphanes bore him Ganubath, his son, whom Taphanes weaned in Pharaoh's house, and Ganubath was in Pharaoh's household among the sons of Pharaoh. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that Dawid slept with his fathers, and that Jobab the captain of the host was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, let me depart, I may go to my own country. Then Pharaoh said unto him, but what hast thou lacked with me, that, behold, thou seekest to go to thine own country? He answered, nothing, howbeit let me go anyway. And Elohim stirred up another adversary, Rezum, the son of Elidah, which fled from his master Hadar Ezer, king of Zobah. And he gathered men unto him and became captain over the band. And when Dawid slew them of Zobah, and they went to Damascus and dwelt therein and reigned in Damascus. Now, we know for a fact, we're going to continue to read because we're going to see what Damascus, the association with Damascus and the Edomites. And he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Shlomo, besides his mischief that Hadad did, and he abhorred Israel and reigned over Syria. So the Edomites did what? Went into the land of Syria. And so this particular seed of Esau became a king in the land of Syria. Okay? So now we understand, we go to Psalms 83, right? Which is Aram, the seed of Aram. He went over the land of Aram, right? And later on we're going to see in this lesson that the king of Assyria brought people from those lands. Lands that Esau had dominated, and those people came into the land, right? Now, let me go back, because I'm I'm covering a lot of territory in a short period of time. All right, now, since I went there, let me go back and finish Jubilees. I'm going to come back on that point. Okay, now, let's go back to Jubilees. So, the children of Esau said, "We're not going to listen to you, Daddy. We're going to kill him, and guess what? We're going to deal with you if you don't go with us." Right. Now, verse 11. We're in the 37th chapter of the book of Jubilees, verse 11. It says, "Kittim, mighty men of war." Okay, let me back up to verse 9. Verse 9. He says, "Thou art putting thy neck under his yoke." And now he said, verse 9, in the middle of verse 9, he says, "We shall not hearken to thy words." And they sent to Aram and to Aduram and the friend of their father, and they hired along beside them 1,000 fighting men, chosen men of war. And there came with them Moab, the children of Ammon, those who were hired, 1,000 chosen men from Philistia, and 1,000 chosen men of war, and from Edom, and from the Horites, and 1,000 chosen fighting men, and from Kittim mighty men of war. And they said unto their father, "Go forth with them and lead them, else we shall slay you." They're going to kill their father because they had that vengeance in their heart. What Isaac said earlier is now coming to pass about that vengeance and that bitterness in their heart. Right? Verse 12. The middle of verse 12. "And he was filled with wrath and indignation on seeing that his sons were forcing him to go before them, to lead them against Jacob his brother. But afterwards he remembered all the evil which lay hidden in his heart against Jacob his brother. And he remembered not the oath which he had sworn to his father and to his mother, that he would desire no evil all the days against Jacob his brother. And notwithstanding all this, Jacob knew not they were coming against him to battle, and he was mourning for Leah his wife until they approached very near to the tower. And 4,000 warriors, chosen men of war, and men of Hebron sent to him, saying, Behold, thy brother has come against thee to fight thee with 4,000 girt with sword, and they carried shields and weapons, for they loved Jacob more than Esau. So they told him, Jacob was more liberal and merciful man than Esau. But Jacob would not believe until they came very near to the tower. And it says, he closed the gates of the tower, right? And he stood on the battlements and spake to his brother Esau and said, Noble is the comfort wherewith thou hast come to comfort me for my wife who has died, right? And it says, In this oath that thou didst swear to thy father and again to thy mother before they died, thou hast broken the oath, and on the moment thou didst swear to thy father, who thou condemned. And then Esau answered and said to him, Neither the children of men nor the beasts of the earth have any oath of righteousness which in swearing they have sworn an oath valid forever. But every day they divide evil once against another, and how each may slay his adversary and foe. And thou dost hate me and my children forever. And there is no observing the tie of brotherhood with thee. Hear these words which I declare unto thee. Now, if the boar can change his skin and make his bristles as soft as wool, or if it can cause horns to sprout forth on his head like the horns of a stag of sheep. Then will I observe the tie of brotherhood with thee. And the beast, the breast, I should say, separate himself from thy mother, for thou hast not been a brother to me. Okay. That was chapter, I'm sorry, I was given the wrong chapter all along. It was chapter 36. I was still in 36. Now we're in 37, okay? Okay, chapter 37. And on the day that Issachar's father, no, I'm sorry, I was reading chapter 37. Let's go to 38 now. We're going to skip a little bit. Chapter 38 of the book of Jubilees, and it reads, And after that Yehudah spoke to Jacob his father, and said to them, Bend thy bow, father, and send forth thy arrows, and cast down the adversary, and slay the enemy, and mayest thou have the power, for we shall not slay thy brother, for he is such as thou, and he is like thee. Let us give him this honor. Then Jacob bent his bow, and sent forth his arrow, and struck Esau, his brother, on his right breast, and slew him. And again he sent forth an arrow, and struck Adoram the Aramean on the left breast, and drove him backwards, and slew him. And then went forth the sons of Jacob, verse 5, chapter 38 of the book of Jubilees, and they and their servants divided themselves into companies on the four sides of the tower. And Yehudah went forth in front of Naphtali, Gad with him, and 50 servants with him on the south side of the tower. And they slew all they found before them, and not one individual of them escaped. And Levi and Dan and Asher went forth on the east side of the tower, and 50 men with them. And they slew the fighting men of Moab and Ammon. And Reuben and Issachar and Zebulun went forth on the north side of the tower, and 50 men with them. And they slew the fighting men of the Philistines. And Simeon and Benjamin and Enoch, Reuben's son, went forth on the west side tower, 50 men with them, and they slew of Edom and of the Horites 400 men, stout warriors, and 600 fled, and 4 of the sons of Esau fled with them, and left their father, laying slain. Verse 9. As he had fallen on the hill which is in Aduram, and the sons of Jacob pursued after them to the mountains of Seir. And Jacob buried his brother on the hill which is Aduram, and he returned to his house. And the sons of Jacob pressed hard upon the sons of Esau in the mountains of Seir, and bowed their necks so that they became servants to the sons of Jacob. And they sent to their fathers to inquire whether they should make peace with them or slay them. And Jacob sent word to his sons that they should make peace, and they made peace with them, and placed the yoke of servitude upon them, so that they paid tribute to Jacob and to his son always. And they continued to pay tribute to Jacob until the day that when he went down to Egypt. And the sons of Edom had not got quit of the yoke of servitude which the 12 sons of Jacob had imposed on them until this day. And these are the kings that reigned in Edom before there reigned any king over the children of Israel until this day in the land of Edom. Balak, Beor reigned Edom in the name of the city of Dinabah, and Balak died, and Jobab the sons of Zerah. Right? Now, I'm going to stop there. So, we can see right there that, according to the book of Jubilees, the sons of Esau had killed off the warriors, and then those that remained, they did what? They made them be servants under them. Now we know in the scriptures, we find that there were servants in the land of Israel when the land had became established, right? And what did Israel do? Israel made them people to be what? Their wives. They made them to be their servants, Hebrew servants. That's how we get Hebrew servants. It wasn't from the 12 tribes of Israel that was servants. They were Edomites who they fulfilled the prophecy. He said that they're going to serve. The older is going to serve the younger. That's what the prophecy was talking about. He's not talking about in 2011, No, that was a prophecy that has been fulfilled, that they actually served their time under King Dawid. We see that. And then Dawid slew a bunch of them, right? And they fled because they kept coming. We tired of being slaves. We're going to break out of this, right? Those same people, right? In that particular story. Now, okay, let's move forward now. Let's put the book of Jubilees away for now. So let's go back to Genesis chapter 25, because I had to go way out there to deal with that particular the two nations and the war. Okay, now. So he said the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. That happened already. Done. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, two twins in the womb first came out red all over her hair like a hairy garment. We dealt with the subject of red. Red does not mean a different shade of white, because David was ruddy. Okay? Shlomo was ruddy. Okay? The Nazarites was described as being ruddy. So you can't say that white man different shade of red, so that's white man, because that's a philosophy. We showed you already. Let's continue in this particular dissertation. And it says, he was hairy all over. Okay? Now, another Prophet 613 pointed this out to me, and I want to just kind of share this particular verse right here, right quick, because is that a symbol of Edomites? Okay? Is that a symbol of Edomites? We had a prophet that was hairy. It was. It says in the 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 8. It says, and they answered him, he was a hairy man, and girt with the girdle of leather about his loins. He said, it is Eliah the Tishbite. So Eliah the Tishbite was hairy. My question is to you, who teach that Esau is white because he's hairy, was Elisha a white man? Because he was hairy. Okay? Now, let's go back to the 25th chapter. Just want to kind of point that out, right? So we can't say white man's hairy. Okay? We have Israelites as hairy. Right? Okay, well, he was hairy all over. I got hair. I'm not going to show you my hair, but I got hair on me. Does it make me Edomite because I got hair on me? Okay? I know plenty of dark-skinned Hebrews that got hair. Women and men. Does that make them an Edomite? So your philosophy don't make any sense. Now, 25:25. It said, verse 26, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and the name of the one was called Jacob, and Esau was 80 years old. Now I want to deal with one more thing in that particular verse. Let's go to verse 27. We're going to point this out here, right? Because the other piece that they say in 25 is that Esau was a hunter, and who hunts now? Who likes to get the bow and the arrow and do all of that, right? Okay, now it says, verse 27, the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Now, we know of one other person in the scriptures that was a hunter. Does that make him an Edomite? I think not, right? So, if we go to Genesis, the 10th chapter, it says in verse 9, and he was a mighty hunter before Yah. Wherefore it is said, Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yah. Question, was Nimrod an Edomite? I think not. Okay? Now, while I'm touching some points, I want to touch some other points here. Okay? Because another point they point out is that